Hi everyone, my name is Tony Cho and I'm from Yale School of Public Health. Thank you so much for having this opportunity to present my work here. So basically this paper examines how father involvement relates to problem behaviors among Chinese rural children, and more importantly, why and when this link occurs. Specifically, we looked at depressive symptoms as a mediator and peer relationship as a moderator. So, problem behaviors like aggression, rule breaking, or conduct problems can seriously affect children's adjustment and well being. Research shows that rural children in China are at higher risk because of socioeconomic and educational disadvantages. However, most prior studies have focused on mothers or rural families leaving fathers' roles unexplored. So our study was guided by two frameworks, the father involvement model and the ecological system theory, both emphasizing that the parenting, child emotion, and peer context generally influence behavioral outcomes. So we propose a moderated mediation model. You can see the figure here. So our first hypothesis is father involvement would be negatively associated with children's problem behaviors. And then the second one will be depressive symptoms would mediate this relationship. Hypothesis three, the relationship would moderate both direct and indirect paths, especially the depressive symptoms to behavior link. In other words, we expected that children with more involved fathers would have fewer depressive symptoms, leading to fewer problem behaviors, and that good peer relationships might buffer the negative effects of depression. So, we used the data from Chinese mental health database, which included 756 rural children from 16 schools across 7 provinces in China. The average age was 12 years old, and about 53% were girls. All measures were well validated and showed high reliability. Father involvement was assessed with the Father Involvement Questionnaire, capturing care, academic support, and emotional communication. Depressive symptoms were measured using the Child Depressing Inventory, and problem behaviors were measured with the Child Behavior Checklist Rule Breaking Scale. Peer relationships were measured with a brief peer relationship scale, and we used SPSS 27 and M+8 for analysis. All variables were standardized, and we first checked for common method bias. No major bias was detected, and then we ran correlation analysis, as well as the moderated mediation models. So let's look at the main findings. Father involvement was negatively correlated with both depressive symptoms and problem behaviors, and depressive symptoms was positively correlated with problem behaviors. Peer relationship correlated positively with father involvement and negatively with depressive symptoms and problem behaviors. So higher father involvement and better peer relationship are linked to better emotional and behavioral outcomes. And our mediation analysis shows strong support for our first and second hypothesis. So, father involvement directly predicted fewer problem behaviors. When depressive symptoms were included, the direct path became non-significant, and the indirect path, where depressive symptoms was significant. That indirect effect accounted for 75% of the total effect, indicating that depressive symptoms fully mediated the relationship between father involvement and problem behaviors. As for the hypothesis 3, we found that peer relationship moderated only the second half of the pathway. The link between depressive symptoms and problem behaviors. And the interactive term was significant when children had low depressive symptoms. Strong peer relationship buffered against problem behaviors. But as depressive symptoms increased, that protective effect weakened and disappeared. A pattern we describe as a drop in a bucket. And we can see the result in figure 2, where the slopes were high and low peer groups converge as depression rises. So basically, this finding partially supports our hypothesis 3. The peer relationship can protect children only when emotional distress is low. And these results have both theoretical and practical meaning. First, they support the father involvement model, showing that father involvement helps children not only directly, but also by promoting emotional well-being. In rural China, fathers often work away from home or focus on material provision rather than emotional connection. So these findings highlight that warm, communicative father-child relationships are crucial for reducing children's depression and behavior issues. Second, the drop in the bucket pattern reminds us that peer support alone cannot offset serious depressive symptoms. Children with high depression may withdraw socially or lack energy to seek help, limiting the benefits of positive peers. As for the intervention and policy, firstly, we need to promote father engagement in everyday life to include emotional communication and shared activities. Also, integrate depression prevention and screening into rural schools. It is important, as well as enhance peer-based programs that encourage inclusion and therapy. So, by targeting family, individual emotion, and peer systems, we can better reduce problem behaviors in rural children. In summary, this study demonstrated that father involvement reduced problem behaviors primarily by lowering depressive symptoms, and peer relationship helped only under low emotional distress. These findings stress the importance of multi-system approaches, strengthening father's role, supporting emotional health, and nurturing peer connections to promote behavioral adjustment in rural Chinese youth. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to ask any questions. I have left my email here. Feel free to contact. Thanks again.